What's going on, guys? My name is a.k.a, and welcome back to the show hell-bent on proving that loyalty ain't all it's cracked up to be. Ratchet Clank 2, a game that needs no introduction, and the last of the original Ratchet quadrilogy I've yet to do a challenge in. And what kind of challenge are we doing today? A stupid one, obviously. You know what I'm about. Our boy's second adventure takes him to the galaxy far, far away of Bogon, where it's not Gadgetron but Megacorp that holds the monopoly on your everyday crazy awesome firearms. And gotta say, I can definitely get down with some of these. However, there remains yet one last bastion of Gadgetron's presence in the galaxy, tucked away on planet Barlow. And as it happens, our friend Ratchet here is a very loyal consumer. Which is precisely why he left all his old weapons back at home, that idiot. Now, I'm certain many players of the original would have gotten here and thought to themselves, wow, I can use a bunch of my favourite weapons from the first game? Awesome! Only to find that not a single one of them packs anywhere near the same punch they used to. The Gadgetron weapons are notoriously underpowered in this game, even bordering on pathetic. But Ratchet's made up his mind to say down with that newfangled Megacorp crap, so we now have the daunting task of finding out if they can get us through to the end. Can you beat the Ratchet Clank 2 Old School Challenge? The rules are simple. The only weapons Ratchet's allowed to use are the returning weapons from the original Ratchet & Clank. This includes the Bogon Glove, Decoy Glove, Walloper, Visibomb Gun, Tesla Claw, and the Omniwrench 8000. But Matt! Yes, you there in the back. You never allow the wrench. What gives? Well, dear viewer, note that I specifically said the Omniwrench 8000, the version of the wrench Ratchet used in the original game. As long as we're carrying this specific wrench, it's fair game. However, as soon as you receive its upgraded form, the Omniwrench 10,000 on Tabora, the wrench will be relegated to its usual restriction of only being allowed to turn bolt cranks. Also, any gadgets that have some damage or killing potential, like the Tractor Beam or Terminator, will not be allowed to do those things. However, I am going to give one very special exception to the returning swing shot. Why and how? I'll explain later. Other than that, turrets and vehicles are legal and deemed necessary as usual. What's not usual is a special extra rule. No skips. You see, Ratchet & Clank 2 is an impeccably programmed game, which of course means that there are various ways by which you can skip past entire gameplay segments and even entire levels. We're not allowed to do that, because this is a.k.a, where nothing's ever hard enough. Also because a certain orange cat told me not to. Cats don't like me having fun. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's get started. Anos 1 starts out exactly as you'd expect, with me avoiding everything like the bloody plague. Why? Well, for a little while I thought I'd pay respect to the usual wrench restrictions of runs past and try to use it only when absolutely necessary. Which means I spend 95% of my time here pretending my problems don't exist. You know, just like real life. The other 5% comes in the form of this room that we're stuck in after the thief escapes with the proto-pet, but since it's the first level, there are no problems. In no time flat, we land on Oozla, where everything continues to not be a threat. Even the swamp monster mini-boss. Just keep throwing and dodging, and you're sweet. Hell, if you're close enough, you can hit its tentacle a second time in one throw as it boomerangs back. And if your aim's particularly good, you can include its eye in the throw, hitting it 3 times in one go. I complete the rest of the planet as normal, but doing so includes surpassing one of the game's oh so glorious paywalls. You only need $1,000 and there's plenty of cash everywhere, but if you're restricting your wrench usage like me, you can get the muck dwellers and swamp beasts to break some crates for you. Maktar will be tackling in 2 trips, with the goal of this first one to clear the jamming array, which is where the whole restricting my wrench usage thing kinda goes out the window. The bolt cranks here are swarmed by chainsaw bots and chicken box, making trying to crank them without clearing the area kinda stupid. And even if you are stupid like me, the wrench seemed to not want to latch on until I got rid of them anyway. Either way you spin it, finishing this path gives us access to Barlow, and if wrench restrictions didn't get turfed earlier, they certainly would here. The Gadgetron hounds of Cuddly Death will swarm you and have deceptively long reach. The tribesmen aren't too much to worry about individually, but the level will throw entire battalions at you, and the Saw Beasts just fucking suck. They take a ton of hits and have this annoying charge attack that launches you in the air, does a bunch of damage, and is stupidly hard to dodge or counter. And you really can't afford to let anything live here anyway, because the path is littered with gates that require all enemies to not be alive. Before long, however, we reach the long-awaited Gadgetron store, and look at that! As a reward for his loyalty, Ratchet gets to take home all these familiar weapons for absolutely free. But Matt! What now, viewer? Come on, this is a challenge run, right? Can't you go the extra mile and make yourself pay for them? Why, yes. Yes, I could. However, that would require me of all people to delete the save data of a Ratchet & Clank game. I cannot stress enough how much I'm not going to do that. And besides, if I did that, I was only going to run around and grind up bolts to buy them all here anyway. See, here at a.k.a. Industries, we indulge in the small luxuries. because if we don't, that last modicum of sanity we somehow have left is going right out the window. With that out of the way, let's meet the boys. First is the Bomb Glove, which, much like in the original game, is a pretty decent all-rounder. Good range, good fire rate, even good damage. For now. Like I said earlier, the Gadgetron weapons are ridiculously underpowered in this game, but the Bomb Glove's qualities will keep it as one of the more useful of the lot for most of the game. Especially with this fun little detail. Its explosions briefly linger, meaning that if you hit an enemy dead center with a bomb, provided it doesn't get knocked out of the blast radius and recovers from any stun animation quick enough, it can still be within the still active explosion and take a second hit. This won't work for everything, but a lot of these mid-sized enemies become a cakewalk with it. Next is the Walloper, our melee alternative, and quite the mixed bag. On one hand, it uses no ammo, can inflict knockback, and has a deceptively wide hitbox. On the other, it does bug roll damage, and you are momentarily locked in place after each punch, leaving you wide open. Its lack of ammo consumption does give it some value in a few places, but I really wouldn't recommend it in most scenarios. Granted, you can offset its problems somewhat by distracting everything with the Decoy Glove. The decoys are great at aggroing everything, but don't expect them to last long. These things are absurdly fragile and will more often than not be destroyed as soon as they're thrown out. However, don't sleep on this thing. It is shockingly effective at drawing attention, and spoiler warning, is gonna get a serious spotlight later. Oh, Tesla Claw, what did they do to you? Once upon a time, you were a force in nature that could take on anything. Now you're only about as effective as a Pyrocida, which is the role it will mostly be playing, cleaning up swarms of the little guys. Don't get me wrong, it works well enough as an alternative in scenarios where the Bomb Glove isn't quite cutting it, helped greatly by you not having to aim it, but don't expect it to be quick about it. Without a doubt, our most powerful weapon is the Visibomb Gun, and also without a doubt, it's far weaker than it has any right to be. But with its controllable missiles allowing you to take out groups from way over there, it still has more than enough utility to be a mainstay, but constant ammo restocking is definitely going to train your wallet. With our arsenal now in tow, we can use the remaining path on Maktar and the arena to get used to how these babies work, and prepare for things to go way downhill. Not immediately though, as Endako doesn't pose much of a challenge, with the sweeper bots, laser bots, and river bots easily dispatched with the Tesla Claw, Bomb Glove, and Visibomb Gun respectively. Even the Thug Leader's helicopter is easily dealt with thanks to the Bomb Glove and those lingering explosions. No attack isn't any more difficult, though it does introduce vehicles in the form of the Thugs for Less attack ships, and neither is Siberius, though things do get funky. The physics on the truck are wigged out thanks to its constant movement, which does affect your weapons. While the Bomb Glove is still effective, Tesla Claw is your best friend here, including against the Thief. Simply dodge their attacks while periodically firing the Tesla Claw at them. Same goes during the boss fight proper. Whenever they spawn their backup, switch to the Walloper or Bomb Glove to clear them out, then switch back to the Tesla Claw and keep on zapping. After getting stranded on Tabora, you'll notice that standard enemies are starting to get a little bulkier, with the spinning Doom Crawlers here taking 4 hits from the Bomb Glove. This area does have a vendor partway through, so ammo isn't limited, but the best option is to just book it on out of here. But not before picking up the first wrench upgrade, meaning that the wrench can only be used to turn bolt cranks from here on. Not that we really use it after getting the rest of our weapons anyway. Once in the desert, we can just pick the nearest 10 crystals with no Doom monsters in sight, bust them open, then hit the road, though sticking around to nab some more is never a bad idea. Next up is Dobbo, where the enemy buffs become even more apparent, to the point where the Tesla Claw can't even take out the Blade Balls and Chicken Bots in one hit anymore, and the troopers take upwards of 3 hits with the Bomb Glove. Inside the facility, it's best to just run on past everything to save on ammo and trouble, but the hover tank that gets thrown at you will halt your progress. Luckily, you can just drop down this gap in front of it and start hammering it with 5 Visibombs. As for the rest of the planet, feel free to buy yourself the Tetrafiber armor and get ready to get very familiar with the Visibomb Gun. The troopers take 2 Visibombs each, and there are a lot of them, but they tend to move in groups, making the best strategy to hang back and clean house before you get in range. But at close quarters, the Bomb Glove will still get the job done. And with a couple of hover tanks you'll come across, it's easy to stay behind cover or out of range and take them out with more Visibombs. Don't sleep on the Decoy Glove either. Throw down one of these bad boys behind some cover and the mooks ahead will never see you coming. Joba then decides to step things up once more, not only with bulked up tribesmen, but the return of these fuckers. Fortunately, some of the tribesmen have ranged weapons which are a lot more effective than anything we're carrying, so utilizing friendly fire where you can is highly recommended. And the Saw Beasts, just avoid them as much as possible. It's not worth it. Coming up to the first couple turrets, simply stay out of its firing line and pepper everything with Visibombs. Once everyone's on alert, they'll make an immediate play for the turret whenever it's empty, and I don't think I need to tell you how much we do not want one of those things against us. Once at the top of the dynamo section, the biggest threat in the next room are the two tribesmen up top near a pair of turrets. Visibombs are the way to go taking them out, but once they're alerted, everything in that room will rush at you, including a pair of saw beasts, and hiding outside the room won't shake them. Somehow not even the Decoy Glove can save you, so you'll have to fight them all off with the Bomb Glove while staying outside of the turrets. Once the rabble's taken care of, fire off more Visibombs to delete the turret operators, then make a mad dash for the next door, taking care not to get sucker punched by a few more tribesmen waiting in the wings. Simply dodge everything else and make it to the zipline, and you're home free! Until the arena, that is. Battle for the Gravity Boots is an even bigger leap in difficulty than the rest of Joba already was. There's only 8 waves, but the enemies within are all souped up to the point where our arsenal really can't deal with them very effectively. So, let's take this one step at a time, shall we? The first wave consists of a single saw beast. You may think, just one? No problem. Yes, problem. As this guy loves to open the fight with a big old charge right in your direction. Thankfully, the Decoy Glove came back from lunch just in time. Throw one down to distract it and start pelting it with bombs. The decoy will barely last a second, but now that the beast's initial charge is over, if you spend the next however long it takes to kill it within relatively close range, it should only chase you around slowly for an up close and personal attack, giving you just enough leeway to fend it off safely. Round 2 consists of nothing but nidbots. This is a good chance to save your ammo and take things out with a Walloper, but be aware that it takes 2 punches and they will try to swarm you. A good strategy is to get them close to the edge of the arena, then launch them straight into the lava. Round 3 has a mix of new and improved chainsaw bots and gladiators, all taking a lot more punishment. My best attempts for this group had me utilising both the Walloper and a bit of good old fashioned friendly fire. The strategy is by no means safe. The delay after throwing a punch can seriously turn Ratchet from longbacks to sitting duck, as these guys love to start swinging almost immediately after they're hit. Line up your punches to try hit your target while they're a distance away from the group, and start jumping like mad after the punch is over to try dodge any incoming attacks. Meanwhile, use any time you're focusing on evasion to lure enemies into hitting each other. They'll do significant enough damage to hopefully make the rest of the round a bit easier. Round 4 has nothing but flamethrower bots, and to them I have 2 words. Friendly fire. At range, they like to use their fireball attacks, which are perfect to lure into other bots and relinquish majority of the work. Then just use the bomb glove to pick up the stragglers. Round 5 consists of only blade balls, where, like the nidbots, the Walloper is best to dispatch them. Also, like the nidbots, they'll take 2 punches each. Just make sure you begin a punch a good distance away from them, especially if they've started spinning. Wind up too close and you'll be taking hits before your hitbox can clock in for work. Round 6 has a mix of chainsaw bots and saw beasts. Immediately bust the Decoy Glove back out and throw down a bunch to distract the likely charging beasts, then deal with them same as we did the one in the first round. Be sure to stay close to both and have them both take damage at the same time for ease. It's safe to focus only on these first. While you're moving around, you'll keep your distance away from the chainsaw bots naturally. Then you can just take them out with a Walloper. Round 7 has a mix of gladiators, flamethrower bots, and nidbots. Keep the Walloper out and start dealing with the nidbots, all the while keeping an eye on the flamethrower bots. Like in round 4, we'll use them for friendly fire. If you can manage your positioning well while taking out the nidbots, you can lure them into dealing some damage to the gladiators, which you can finish off with a Walloper if need be. Then switch to the bomb glove to deal with any remaining flamethrower bots. Also keep in mind that stage hazards are active. Lure everything into the right spots, the flame traps on the ground can make your life a lot easier. Finally, round 8. Everything except gladiators and nidbots, including 2 whole-ass saw beasts. Quickly deal with any blade balls that swarm you straight away, then start throwing down decoys. Things will get hectic quick with all the different enemy types, so be ready to bust out the expert dodging. If you can keep everything focused on the decoys for a time, bombard them with as many bombs as you can. If the decoys run out, throw down more and keep it up. As long as there are decoys on the field, you've got a bit of time and space to spare. And if you can throw them down near a hazard, even better. With the battle taken care of, next comes the cage match for the Infiltrator. These 6 rounds contain a little bit of everything we've fought thus far, except saw beasts, thank God. The larger guys are easily taken down with the bomb glove and Walloper, although personally I'd probably skip the Walloper up here, and the small guys are best taken out with the Tesla Claw. Ultimately, there's no big strategies necessary for this one. It's significantly easier than the ground battle, though definitely keep friendly fire and stage hazards in mind. They'll make your day a lot more bearable. With the mandatory arena challenges complete, we can ship on out. But Matt! What now? Charge boots? Nope. I didn't collect them. Look, we've already had our monthly delivery of small luxuries. The rest shall be pain, whether I like it or not. Today I will once again ask you the question of how much you like Visibombs, but not before we just run on past the mutant test squirrels, because it's not worth wasting the ammo. Here, we're introduced to the robot guards, which are as deadly as they are tough, so they're best taken out by firing off Visibombs for a distance or behind cover. Be warned though, they take around 6 Visibombs each. Troopers are still relatively easily taken out with the bomb glove, though it is of course recommended to hightail it through the facility instead of taking too many risks. Though even if you finish the mission here quickly, it is imperative that you spend as much time here as possible. Why? Well, listen to the music, obviously. What else could there be? The Thug Station on Bolden have, unsurprisingly, stepped up their game big time, to the point where any firefight with them is very not recommended. A lot of them you can thankfully run past, but a few groups you're gonna want to take out with Visibombs from a safe distance. Most notably, the group at the very beginning, the group guarding this elevator just before the armor vendor, which I'd buy something from, but I keep seeming to overextend my Visibomb budget, the group before this swirly gravity boot section, and the group before the second vertical building segment. Speaking of the vertical building segments, for them and any other vertical or upside down gravity boot sections, you can simply toss a single bomb at every thug that pokes his head out, and a knockback will deal with the rest. On Aranos 2, you guessed it, the enemies got buffed yet again. Just count the amount of bombs it takes to take out the flamethrower bots, and you can then count how screwed you are. So, what are our best options? Well, at this point in the run, it should be pretty clear. Either hide behind a corner and fire off Visibombs, or run. Run as far as you can. All the way to... oh god. Sniffalack is generally painful for a number of reasons, including but not limited to the absolute gauntlet of tough thugs and even tougher vehicles, actual ambush traps, and one of the longest, most boring and monotonous boss fights in the series. The good news? We can actually get through relatively painlessly. The bad news? It's gonna take a lot of time and bolts. First, let's make it through the gravity boot section and to the bridge to see what we're up against. First up, a couple of hover tanks, which I'm sure you can imagine take a lot of punishment. Luckily with these two, after firing a Visibomb out, which makes them advance toward us, by hiding behind this corner next to the vendor, we're in the perfect spot for the rightmost tank to take out the one in front of it on the left. From here, we just keep firing Visibombs until it and any thugs around are down and out. These things take around 12 Visibombs each, so, like I said, time and bolts. Moving ahead, there's another hover tank just over halfway across the bridge. This one, however, will require a lot less hiding. Recall a while earlier that I mentioned that our good old Decoy Glove is shockingly effective at its job. Well, it's here on Sniffalack where it finally gets a much larger spotlight. Plant a decoy around here on the edge right before the major support halfway down, then go aggro the tank. And watch in amazement as the tank never moves forward enough to be able to properly hit it, and yet still goes all out trying to destroy it through the wall. I think the point here is pretty clear. The Decoy Glove is so much more powerful than previously thought. Simply by placing a decoy in a spot where enemies can't hit it, you're rendered practically invisible as the decoy still manages to aggro everything nearby and keeps that attention until it's destroyed. These things don't have a time limit either. As long as they don't get hit, they stay. From here, you don't even need Visibombs anymore. You can just pelt the tank with the substantially more cost-effective bombs without a care in the world. And every group of thugs up ahead can be tackled the same way. Hell, you can even bust out the Walloper if you want. Don't get too cozy though, there are still a few curveballs, largely in the form of these attack copters. One will appear after the fourth hover tank, and two will appear right after the ambush trap, which is triggered by breaking this nanotech crate, so... Don't take any chances with these. Hide back behind a corner and start firing Visibombs. They usually take around 9 direct hits before dropping. Now, if I had a modicum more sanity than I currently do, I would simply use the other incredible power of the Decoy Glove to clip through these walls straight to the boss fight without having to bother with anything else. But alas, I do not. No skips. Because a certain orange cat was feeling mean that day. After these, continue on as normal until you reach the intersection before the boss fight, with an ambush trap we absolutely have to trigger. But again, the Decoy Glove shines like a bloody diamond. Simply throw decoys in these corners and then get rid of the thugs in the easiest fashion imaginable before moving on to the boss fight, which... just take it easy. You worked hard to get here. Next comes Smolk. Much of the warehouse is best run through, as the two-headed Smolking Snappers are quick, have longer range than you think, deal lots of damage, and take even more. The only point we're forced to take them on is this section with the wall of crates that they and the little Grulches break out of. The Grulches are easily handled with the Walloper or the Tesla Claw, but these guys will need to be constantly evaded while laying in way more bombs than is worth. Don't stick out the whole fight. As soon as there is a clear path forward, take it. Other than that, book it past everything, and don't forget the Hypnomatic part. Remember, no skips. Damosel is the exact opposite, as booking it won't be an option with multiple areas requiring all enemies to be beaten before progressing. Plus, with the endlessly spawning proto-pets and the highly dangerous extermabots running around, you really want them all to be gone anyway. The Tesla Claw is more than enough to deal with the proto-pets, but these mailbox-looking spawners will need some extra firepower. No joke, these things take a whopping 5 Visibombs to destroy. And each extermabot takes around 6, assuming its legs don't somehow survive. and Visibombs are the only way you want to deal with them, with their attacks being frequent, hard to dodge, and having good range, while the bots themselves will make an absolute beeline towards you if they detect you in the vicinity. A certain orange cat I know likes to call these things anti-fairy bots. I think it's pretty clear why. At least he's not picking on me this time. On the opening street, start out by firing off Visibombs until you've destroyed this spawner in the corner and the 4 exterminator bots behind the billboards up ahead. Next, double back and throw some decoys on the wings of your ship. No, I'm not screwing with you, you heard me correctly. Then run ahead taking out protopets until 2 more exterminator bots are dropped into the fray. Double back to the ship again as the bots chase you and watch themselves get stuck on one side, leaving them open to pelt with bombs. Just be careful of any protopets still around, they can sneak up around the other side and take out your decoy. Head up to the Versa targets ahead, but don't start swinging. Instead, hang here and take out the spawners across the gap. With them out of the way, the door to the first park area will open. It's highly recommended here to take out the protopets inside with more Visibombs so they won't get the chance to multiply when we get there. Next, we're going to get a bit tricky. Swing shot over to the next Versa target, but don't let go. Instead, swing for as far as you can to get the manhole just ahead to burst out more protopets. Then, once you've reached the peak of your swing, let go, start gliding, then double back to reattach to the Versa target and swing back to the billboards. If done right, more exterminator bots will arrive and start taking out the protopets. While they're occupied, start launching Visibombs and fly them all the way around the park area to the next street ahead to take out more exterminator bots. Yes, we're seriously being that cautious. With enough of them taken out to make the next stretch as easy as possible, get rid of the guys in front of us, then rush on through the taxi with basically nothing to worry about. Upon hitting the bank area, before wall jumping up, throw down a decoy right against the wall in the center. Then head up and start taking out the protopets. The exterminator bots will never be able to hit the decoy, but the protopets can jump down there and destroy it. With them out of the way, take out the bots on the ground with bombs, and the ones upstairs with Visibombs. Run forward to the next open area and start taking out everything from afar. When the next room opens, destroy as many exterminator bots as you can with Visibombs, but some may be hard to hit with tight corners, so you may have to fight a couple close quarters. Be aware that once you enter this room, you can't backtrack for ammo, so make sure you're prepared for the final stretch. Head forward to the next elevator, then take out the bots on the other side of this park area with more Visibombs. Walk into the park to spawn in some more bots off to the side, then double back to the bottom of the elevator. Throw down a decoy just below the park entrance, ride the elevator back up, and begin clearing house before finally making it to the end. Don't forget to pick up the Hypnomatic part at the end of the Grind Brute course, then it's off to one of the planets I'm sure you've all been waiting for. Grelbin. Grelbin's ice fields are one of the most infamous parts of the entire game, primarily because of these guys, the Yetis. They spawn absolutely everywhere, are quick, persistent, have stupid long range, do stupid high damage, and did I mention they spawn absolutely everywhere? The Leviathans here are just icing on the cake, taking a metric ton of damage. A certain orange cat, perhaps to make up for his past transgressions, did the calculations. It takes no less than 301 Visibombs to take just one of these things out. Now, if I had a modicum more sanity than I currently do, I would have only half cleared Smog, come straight here to Grelbin, and with collision detection my way up this slope next to Angela's house to completely skip everything we need to do here, as well as the entirety of Damosel. But alas, I do not. No skips. Fortunately, there are enough freestanding moonstones in the lower ice field to proceed with our first objective without having to bother with the creatures within, thank God. Simply snipe them all from afar with Visibombs, then run around like a madman, picking them up whilst avoiding certain death. Then just book it through the caves and mineshaft to open up the upper ice field. Now, we still need the final Hypnomatic part, which we need to trade another 16 moonstones for, so we have to trudge through the tundra with our tail between our legs yet again, right? Wrong. Full points to a certain orange cat who came up with this strategy because it is absolute genius. Also, I leave it up to a cat to be very hot and cold with me today. Much like all cats in my life, so I guess it's true that all orange cats just share a single brain cell. First, save your game and reload. Much like on Quartu back in Ratchet 1, Grelbin is a planet that can be put into its completed state before all its missions are complete, meaning that enemy spawns will be different. In Grelbin's case, it simply means that throughout the entire ice field, only 4 Yetis can be spawned in and active at a time, instead of us having to deal with a Tyranid swarm like earlier. This makes exploring the tundra a lot easier, but how about we turn it into a joke? For this will be the Decoy Glove's finest hour. Throw down a decoy on the edge of the landing pad, then run to the nearest Yeti spawn. 3 will pop out and laser focus on the decoy, but what do you know? They can't reach it. And with these 3 spawned in and actively chasing a target, that means 3 less Yetis that can spawn throughout the planet. But let's go the whole 9, shall we? Race over to the westernmost bridge to the upper field, then throw down a decoy right here on the edge of the bridge. Stroll on over to the nearest spawn and watch as only a single Yeti pops out and beelines straight for the decoy, which, with how the two are positioned, it once again can't reach. Move around to another Yeti spawn without triggering the nearest Leviathan, then watch in awe as the spawning animation plays, but no Yetis appear. Meaning we are now free to stroll around the ice fields collecting as many moonstones as we please with no interruptions. Hell, it's so peaceful out here, we've got time to take a nice break, basking in the sun and sipping a nice cold lemonade. Once satisfied with our vacation, we get the hypnomatic part, complete the level as intended, finally buy some new armor, and ship off to the final planet, Yeedle. Now, if I had a modicum more sanity than I currently do, I would have collected the charge boots, gotten here to Yeedle, jumped up these crates onto this ledge, up this rock, charged over to this point on the cliffs, weird collision detection on my way up said cliff, charged toward the building, walked through its roof, and then finally charged all the way to the teleporter inside without having to deal with the mess outside. But alas, I do not. No skips. Because a certain orange cat just really enjoys screwing with me. Thankfully, the outside isn't anything complex. Just get through the hypnomatic segment, then take your time firing your entire supply of Visibombs at the hover tanks. At this point, they seriously take a full 20 Visibombs to destroy. As for the troopers, throw down a decoy somewhere nifty, then bomb or Walloper them to death. Once inside Megacorp HQ, get ready for the final stretch. Throw down a decoy next to the teleporter, then take out the troopers down the corridor with bombs. Next, head to the top of this spire with the gravity boots, then throw down another decoy somewhere around the middle where the troopers on either side can't hit it. Then simply stroll on past them and break out the Tesla Claw to deal with the protopets in the next corridor. Coming up to the dynamo section with the rotating platforms, there's nowhere it's safe to throw down a decoy to distract the flying troopers just yet, so bust out the expert dodging again and try to get to the next room relatively unharmed. Said next room looks like an absolute nightmare with repeatedly respawning troopers and a hover tank. Luckily, this cover here is indestructible and a perfect spot for some decoys. Throw one down in this corner toward the previous room to distract the flying guys as well. This will be useful in a sec. Run on past and open the next door with the infiltrator. Good news? If you die, from here on, this door will stay open. Cruise past or kill the protopets in the next room, definitely kill the ones in the next corridor, and reach the most worrisome part, a large pit with 2 hover tanks guarding the other side. You can take out one with all that Visibomb ammo we still have, but that leaves the other one. Luckily, the entire path back to the vendor has been perfectly set up with decoys in just the right spots to render us completely invisible for multiple trips there and back. The decoy we threw down in the corner just after the dynamo room keeps the flying guys off our back during our backtracking, so no more expert dodging required, just slow and steady platforming. Restock, take out the other tank, restock again, then head for the final gauntlet, where we will once again promptly throw down a decoy in a nice safe corner. And it is here at the final hour where we shall exhibit our one use of the swing shot for violence, by pulling down this bridge and crushing the final hover tank. We met quota this month, we earned one more small luxury, then finally run like the wind to the final door and let the final battle commence. Now, considering the mutant protopet is an absolute tank who absolutely refuses to fight by his damn self, you may think this fight is an absolute pain. And it kinda is, but it's somehow also surprisingly easy to trivialize, even with our underpowered arsenal. First, we're going to do as the speedrunners do, and die. Like a lot. This is to take advantage of act tuning, the game's dynamic difficulty adjustment, which will ultimately give the protopet less maximum health overall. Next, we'll long jump over to this outcrop on the edge of the arena. We're able to stand here without beginning the fight, just so long as we don't touch the rail. Wait for a moment until the protopet is on the other side of the arena, about as far away as he can get, then touch the rail to initiate the fight. Immediately step back a touch, then go into first person and look over to the left. This will ensure that the first ammo crate that spawns will be close by in that direction. The protopet will start his rolling attack towards you, but if you're positioned right, he can't hit you from here. And as soon as the ammo crate spawns, break open from here with the Tesla Claw. With the crate broken before his rolling attack is over, his next move will be to puke up a small army of protopets, which he will do, but positioned as he is, they just fall into the void outside the arena. And since they never get to properly spawn in the arena, he's stuck doing this until his pattern is overwritten, so we can just dump around him, begin punching the hell out of him with a Walloper. Once a third of his health drops, it's time for phase 2. He'll belly flop the ground a few times to take us to the next floor, then begin his usual pattern, this time with troopers as backup. The easiest way to deal with them is to lure the protopet into rolling over them. While doing this, make sure it doesn't destroy any ammo crates that may spawn, else he'll begin puking up protopets again, and we don't have a reliable setup like last time. Fortunately, this phase begins to spawn large bombs instead of crates, which you normally direct into him with the tractor beam. If they go unused during his rolling attack, however, he'll run over to it and swallow it, proceeding to fire out his meteor attack. It's a bit tricky and very dangerous as you can easily get hit. You can actually direct the meteors around his back close enough that he gets caught in the impact, dealing massive damage. This is easily our best damage source during the fight, and at another third of his health gone, we move on to the last phase. One more addition is made in the form of a pair of hover turrets encircling the arena, and we do not have the time, space, or ammo to deal with them, so they'll just have to stay, and we'll have to keep on our toes. Other than that, this phase can be tackled just like the last. Let the Protopet destroy the troopers, but not any ammo crates. If any ammo crates are available after its rolling attack, it'll swallow it and produce one of a number of different attacks, most of which you just want to avoid, but if he uses this missile attack, it's actually safe to go right up to him and keep wailing on him with the Walloper or Bomb Glove. Another dangerous one is to get up close when he uses this electrical attack to try and make him hit himself with it. It seemed to do a fair bit of damage on top of any friendly fire inflicted by a new wave of troopers. Bottom line is, you have options, but don't take any more risks than you absolutely need to, and before long, the big guy will be down and out. So if it wasn't immediately obvious, the main strategy for this whole run is to sit back, fire off literally all the Visibombs, and keep wasting a paycheck to buy more. Not to say the other weapons didn't have their uses, the Bomb Glove and Walloper ended up getting a lot more done than I gave them credit for in the right scenarios, but oh boy is it just easy to forget they exist sometimes when the Visibombs do significantly more damage and can be used more safely. Not that you can really tell on the damage part, as I mentioned before, the drop off in power for all these weapons is insane, and in a normal playthrough, sure, you can get your kicks with them for a few planets, but mid to end game, you're not using them. Except, of course, for the Decoy Glove. This thing ended up the dark horse in a way I never expected, and was even the MVP for some of the game's most notorious segments. Even as fragile as the decoys are, these are exponentially more useful and effective than I thought otherwise, and I can see my regular playthroughs incorporating them a lot more from now on. Especially on Grelbin. I will never tackle those ice fields the same again, these things are just too good. Funnily enough, going back to the original weapons kinda encourages the original game's approach to combat, where instead of just running in with whatever gun dishes out the most destruction, you have to be more tactical as you progress, analysing the situation and choosing the best tool for the job. Which is a mentality I still really enjoy about the original game that the sequels kinda miss. Plus, for as much power as they lack, spending some more time with these old weapons is a fun novelty, and it's super cool they were included in the first place. Overall, the run as a whole wasn't quite as painful as I expected, mostly just monotonous and expensive on the part of the Visibombs, so if you're curious enough to try it yourself, I certainly won't try and stop you. I also won't blame you if you just use all the skips instead. Because, sanity. The biggest of special thanks goes to a certain orange cat. More specifically, my partner on this project, Camille the Golden Cat. He went so far out of his way to rigorously test the run without skips, and came up with all the major strategies you saw here today. He's an absolute legend and is more than worth his dues for this. Special thanks also go to Veldoodles for the awesome thumbnail art, so go check them out, and shoutouts go to James and Beninja for having done this run first. And they both got a whole lot more awesome content where that came from, so check them out too. What do you guys think of the video, and what other challenges would you like to see me do? Let me know down in the comments or on my open Discord server, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, my name is a.k.a, and I'll see you guys later.